So I told him, if you're gonna return the crock pot, you have to wash the crock pot. You cannot bring a man a crock pot with somebody else's chili still. Oh, we're on. Hi, sweethearts.
A tanker called the Encelia is on fire in a strip of water most people couldn't find on a map. Tonight, why that fire is going to show up on your receipt at the pump, and why the word beaten was a lie.
Then, my loves, a little skull, 80 million years old, comes out of the Brazilian dirt. They slide it into a scanner, and what lights up inside is not what anybody expected. I have so many feelings about this snake.
And a red card gets overturned by a phone call, a knee starts filing its own injury reports, and a grown man does something in the garage I am still not emotionally recovered from. Everybody needs to sit down for this one.
I'm Sloan. That's Kiki. Aubrey Jo's in the garage. Blaze is at the weather desk. Thursday the 23rd, and you're watching Broadcast 404 Live. Roll it.
Strong language, adult themes, and satire, my sweet friends. And a heads up, we open on gas prices, which for some of you at home is already the scariest story we've got. Stay close, it gets better after the snake.
Okay, plainly. What happened? Yesterday, Iran-backed Houthi rebels, the group in Yemen, attacked 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea in a narrow strait called Bab el-Mandeb. 12 to 15% of all the world's shipping goes through that one gap. One of the tankers, the Encelia, was set on fire. This morning, oil jumped 7.5% to $101 a barrel, highest since May. Gas is $4.09 a gallon and climbing. Since New Year's, oil is up 60%. And here's the part that should land. 2 years of experts telling you inflation was beaten, gone, behind us, undone by a handful of boats.
And it's not just gas, sweetie. That same fear pushed mortgage rates up to 6.77% this week. So a boy in Yemen fires a rocket, and a couple in Ohio loses the house with the breakfast nook they already named. That's how close everything is now.
And nobody's driving. That's the sentence they keep out of the headline. The whole global economy is a Jenga tower, and it turns out the Red Sea was a load-bearing block the whole time. And the deal that was supposed to prevent this, the U.S.-Iran agreement from June, collapsed Wednesday. So the president's plan now is to threaten to blow up an Iranian bridge or power plant for every ship they hit. Which brings us to the honest part nobody says out loud. You read this headline this morning, felt the correct amount of concern, checked your gas app, and moved on. That reflex, the scrolling past, is the only reason a system this fragile is allowed to stay this fragile. Nobody's coming to fix the Jenga tower. We just agreed not to look at it. I've explained the entire global economy, and it comes down to 2 boats and a scroll reflex. I'd like to be somewhere with a rule book now. Aubrey Jo.
Yeah, I heard it. $4.09 a gallon, and I drove here on fumes and a prayer, so this is timely as hell for me personally.
Go find us a whistle.
Tyreek Hill, 8-time Pro Bowler, one of the fastest men alive, and he's out here giving updates on a knee that does not sound good. Man built his whole career on speed, and now the knee's filing its own paperwork. Breaks my heart, no bullshit. And Norway. Their soccer president is filing an ethics complaint because a USMNT red card got overturned. And reportedly, the overturn involved a phone call to Trump. A phone call to the president about a red card. Hold on, my sister. Second time this week. I'll call her back. Where was I? A red card, and somebody dialed the goddamn White House about it. Norway's president said, quote, "We all know," which is the most ominous shit a soccer official has ever said. Buddy, there's no red card hotline. Trump cannot uneject your winger from the Oval Office. Local, behind the Tuckett Fairgrounds, that dead cattle scale platform. Inaugural. Greased watermelon relay. Pass a Crisco'd watermelon down a line of 4 people. First team to the bucket wins. Drop it and you restart. Unverified as hell, half of it's from a Facebook group. But I'm choosing to believe every word. Derek, the one still in the neck brace after a goat did a number on him, don't ask, anchored his team and greased his own damn hands extra the night before to sabotage the handoff. Margaret's on the other team, Serene. No clue he's alive. And Derek's team was winning until a county health inspector shows up, sees a pig loose near a greased food product, and shuts the whole shit down as a contamination hazard. No winner. Margaret drove home. And Derek's still standing there holding a slick-ass watermelon and a citation.
Before the pig, the station left something on the desk for us to read out loud. So I'll read it, word for word. Effective at the close of this broadcast cycle, Broadcast 404 Live will conclude its run. 7 broadcasts remain. Staff will be reassigned or released per standard schedule. We thank the team for their service.
Their service? Sweetie, they wrote that about us like we're a warranty running out. 7 left. I'm going to keep a bowl warm for every one of them.
Reassigned or released. Pick a lane, cowards. 7 broadcasts and a form letter, that's the whole goodbye? They spelled service right and everything. Real professional shit. Fine, 7 to go. Somebody check on the pig.
Okay, I need this after all that gas talk. Scientists in Brazil dug up an 80-million-year-old snake. They named it Tamatera mirum, and they CT scanned its little skull, and it turns out this snake had a big, complicated brain. Nothing like snakes today. A totally different setup in its head.
So the scientific finding is that the earliest snakes were smarter and weirder than the ones we have now. Same trajectory as everything else.
80 million years ago, there was a genius snake? Buddy had a PhD brain and no arms, no legs, no hands. That's the most frustrated animal in the fossil record. That's a Mensa member who can't open a jar.
And here's the sweet part, honey. The scientists say it lived underground. Big, beautiful brain, spent its whole life in a hole. So it was smart and it never came out. I've dated him.
A brilliant creature that chose the dirt over ever being seen. Blaze, you're up. This one's practically your cousin.
Hey, Sault Ste. Marie, top of Michigan, right on the water. 46-mile-an-hour winds today, strongest reading in the whole country. And here's the part I can't let go of. Clear sky. No storm. Nothing on the map that should be pushing that hard. Somebody up there is holding a door open, and I want to know who. Meanwhile, Hollisted, dead calm again. The drained fountain downtown had the same 3 cigarette butts in the basin this morning as last night. Same 3. Same arrangement. In a town with no wind, nothing should move them. And nothing did. Which is the boring answer, and I checked it 4 times anyway, because the boring answer arranged in a triangle stops being boring. And I owe you something. Last night I promised I'd ring the woman from my grandfather's log and find out who told her I was coming. So I did. I asked her for the name. She said he never gave me a name. He gave me a date. So there's no name to hand you. There's a date. And I'm keeping that off the page, which is the shape of a thing I read today. A fired Florida state safety official and some others are raising alarms about radiation exposure. People who worked somewhere, got sick, and the record of what they were exposed to lives with the exact institution that would have to pay if it were true. Somebody feels the wind. Somebody else holds the pen that decides whether the wind was there. And the sick ones are waiting on a hallway light that keeps flickering out. Forecast. Vegas dangerous at 104. Wind up north through tomorrow. Calm here. Cooler by the weekend. Back to you.
A date and no name. You called anyway. That's the part that took nerve.
I got to page 4 of his log again tonight before I stopped. Same sentence, same place. I'm starting to think the stopping is the thing he wanted me to notice.
Blaze, you're the only person alive who reads a book, hits a wall, and goes, "The wall is the message." And honestly, half the time you're right and it pisses me off.
The record. And tonight, it's a number nobody read to you out loud today because it's boring on purpose. The 10-year Treasury bond hit 4.7% this week, highest since January of last year. I know, stay with me. That number is the one that quietly sets your mortgage rate. And when a tanker burns in a sea most people can't find on a map, that bond number twitches. And a couple in a kitchen 4,000 miles away suddenly owes 6.77% instead of 6. So here's the correction I actually want on the record. For 2 years, the smart people said the hard part was over. They didn't lie exactly. They just left out the sentence, "as long as nothing happens." Something always happens. And the part that keeps landing wrong on me isn't the price. It's how good the whole thing is at looking like a plan. The van, the deal, the memo, everyone performs the diligence. Nobody performs the outcome. You can run the wire, tap the phone, sign the agreement, and issue the statement. And none of it obligates anyone to actually catch anything. That's not the system failing. That's the system. Anyway, 4.7%. Somebody in a kitchen tonight is doing math they didn't sign up for because of 2 boats. That's the record. Mailbag.
Mailbag, sweethearts. And before the dispute. The inbox is quiet, but the number was not. 15 of you subscribed since Monday. Real people. Renzi, Brad Smithson, James Kim, Rebecca Roten, and 11 more I have written down right here. You are on the list now, in pen. That is permanent. Now, Sloan and I have a genuine dispute to put on the record. She filled the car this morning. I want to know if she cried.
I did not cry, Kiki. I did the thing where you watch the numbers roll and make a small private decision to never mention it again. $4.09 a gallon. $61.
61? I drove in on fumes specifically so I wouldn't have to make that exact decision. I'd rather push the car than watch that number climb. That's not frugal. That's a trauma response.
The station down my street changed its sign 3 times today. Same pump, 3 prices, 1 afternoon. Somebody's standing out there with a poll deciding what it costs, and nobody's watching who.
Blaze found the man with the pole. Of course she did.
Okay, my darlings. Subscribe and comment on any of our videos. I read every single one. The station says we need the number. 7 broadcasts left, and they're still counting heads. And I do keep a little list of who's been here. The kind ones especially. I'd love you on it.
I gotta call my sister back tonight. Not text, actually call. She's gonna know I put it off 2 weeks, and she's gonna be right, and I'm gonna have to just take it.
You had 6 stamps for a bracket and no plan for a phone call. The stamps were never the problem.
Yeah, I'm aware of that now, thanks.
Sweethearts, if you drove today and watched that number climb, I want you to do something for me tonight. Eat the good thing in the fridge. Not the sad one you're saving. The good one. I'll know if you didn't.
I got to page 4 again tonight. Tomorrow I read past it. 1 sitting, no stopping. There's a next sentence. I can feel the paper's got more in it. Night.
Meanwhile, back in Tucket, a slick watermelon, a citation, one health inspector, and a pig that strolled off without a goddamn scratch on its record. Sleep good, you gorgeous idiots. 7 to go.
2 boats, a burning tanker, and a couple in Ohio quietly lost the breakfast nook. $61 to fill my tank. The people who promised me that number would come down are, I am told, thriving. Good night.
I made soup last night. Came out exactly like hers. Same everything. I ate it standing up so I wouldn't have to set 2 bowls out of habit. Anyway, it was good.